What's going on, everyone? My name is Joseph Reynolds, and today joining me is a man that's been competing for a long time at the highest level. Obviously, one of Bellator's best middleweights that you'll find at the moment, John Salter. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Obviously, another big fight for yourself. For coming up to this fight and not being too far away now, how are you sort of feeling for this fight?
I'm good. I'm really probably as healthy as I've ever been at this point in my camp. So happy with that. I kind of did a little bit longer of a camp just to ramp things up a little slower so that way I didn't jump into anything too hard, but feeling pretty good.
And as well, there's Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu that there's there at the moment that you're involved with. Obviously, you were training with Chris Weidman not too long ago, and he made his return to competition at Polaris at Doncaster Dome in England not too long ago. But to be training with the people you are, and as you mentioned, to feel as fit as you are, how confident does that make you when you do go into fight feeling that sort of way?
Well, I think everybody has their different style, and so it's hard to prep for a particular style. But there's one thing when you go against elite world class fighters, and when you grab them, they all feel the same way. When you touch each other, you feel like, okay, I can't move that guy. So to have those level guys in the gym every day that I'm training with and working with, I know that I'm prepared to go out there and feel that in the cage.
Yeah, now moving into this fight, I'm sure the aim is to get back to winning ways, but in terms of being able to have the chance against Aaron Jeffrey to start building that momentum again and get back towards a Bellator title shot, what's that sort of journey been like for you to getting back to this position?
I mean, just tough guys. I had Evelyn last, who's now the champ. So it's two losses to two champs in a row. So now I need to get a win over a top guy like Jeffries, just to prove that I am a guy that's still sitting right there with the champ and ex-champ.
Yeah, and you've been obviously involved in MMA for a long time, been fighting for a long time, and you're still at the highest level that you'll find in mixed martial arts. To spend so much time now at the sort of the top of the levels in terms of that you'll find in the sport, what would you say are some of the big reasons for why you've been able to compete at this level for so long?
I think one of the things is I've got a lot of friends that are around my age that they take a lot of time off after fights. They get out of shape and they got to get back into shape. And it's just harder as you get older to do that. So I stay in shape all the time. I train all the time. Even with injuries, if I've got an injury where I can kickbox, I'll kickbox. If I got an injury where I can only grapple, I'll grapple, but just always doing something. And, when I was younger, I kind of made my mind up. I can't affect how fast I am. I can't affect, if I'm more athletic, longer, like that. But I can make sure that I'm the first one in the weight room and the last one to leave. So I've always been big on lifting, and I think that's really made a big difference in injuries for me.
Yeah, and then taking a look at this matchup, in terms of how you sort of see this matchup playing out or the ideal way this fight goes, what does that sort of look like a little bit to yourself?
He's very well rounded. I think we're going to kind of fight everywhere. We'll fight on the feet. We'll probably end up in some wrestling exchanges. I think he's gotten pretty good at wrestling. And then he's a brown belt on the ground. So when we get to the ground, it's not like it's just a pushover and I take his back and submit him. There's going to be some battles there, and he's very good at getting up if he ends up on the ground. So I think that'll be really interesting too, because everybody kind of has their own style of how they get up. And I think that's in the big evolution in MMA over the past few years is the way people get up now. So that's really, when you have grapplers fighting, to me, that's one of the most intriguing things is how's this guy going to work on getting up, and how is the guy on top going to work on keeping him down,
Yeah, and you mentioned there in terms of obviously the difference from how it used to be to how it is now. And even in the last 3 years, the sport's changed massively in certain places. But looking at sort of some of the biggest differences in the sport that you've been able to see, what do some of those look like, and how does the sport sort of change for the better almost as well?
Well, I think, you're getting a lot more explosive people in striking. It used to kind of be like wrestling. If you're a technical striker, you're a technical striker, and you're good. Now there's so many explosive guys. A lot of the best strikers in the world out there, they don't even that they throw with one hand down because they're so explosive. They're landing, they're getting in. And I think that's just athletes getting into the sport. And there's, it's a very hard thing to stop. So I think that's just a very interesting change. But I think the biggest change in the sport is when I got into MMA, you take them down, you put them on the cage, and you beat them up. And now you take a guy down. If he gets to the cage, he's getting up, and so you got to try and keep him in the middle. And it's that's been such a big change. There's so many guys now that have just kind of given up on training jiu-jitsu, but just getting really good at getting up. And it's been very successful for them.
Yeah, and now sort of in terms of taking a look at this year and then this fight as well, with a win here, it instantly puts you sort of back into that title picture, or at least number one contender position. But what are some of the sort of goals that you have for this year, and what does an ideal year look like?
Right now, all I'm really concerned is beating Aaron Jeffries, getting past this fight, and then I'll kind of deal with everything else as it comes after that. So I don't want to plan out anything after this. I don't want to look past it. I just want to focus on this.
Yeah, and then as well, in terms of sort of looking at the preparation for this fight and how that's been, you mentioned obviously it's been some of the best preparation you've had, or how you feel as well. When you are able to sort of train around some of the top athletes as mentioned as well, what is that sort of like as a fighter, whatever stage you're at, to be around such high-level athletes at all times in your training?
Oh, it's terrible because you don't get easy rounds, Well, we were joking around about it. I probably had the hardest practice of my entire life a couple of weeks ago. It was all starting in bad positions, and there was 4 of us, and between the 4 of us, there was 8 collegiate All-American titles. And, we're just kind of joking around. Like, I don't know that I've ever had something so bad because there's no guy to grab and go, let me do a 1 minute down, 1 minute easy round, It's just nothing but super high level guys. So it's incredible for getting better, incredible for getting in shape, terrible for making you tired.
Yeah, and as well, in terms of sort of looking at this fight, obviously, as I mentioned, I believe he's ranked number 6, and he'll be looking to, I'm sure, break into the top 5, and then yourself looking to get back into that sort of title picture. But do you feel as though the pressure sort of changes with different sort of fights, with different sort of meanings, or how does the sort of pressure look when you have maybe a title shot or number one contenders bout versus a sort of fight like this? What are some of the sort of pressures that do come along with being in this position?
The pressure's off me now. I spent my entire career trying to get to that next level. And then my last fight was even, can I get back to that title picture? After 2 losses, I know a win here is not going to put me right in title contention. So I really don't have that pressure if I've got to try and fight and finish the right way, get everything done perfect so I get a title shot. So this is there's probably been 2 fights that I just really did not have a lot of stress going into. And I'd say it'd be this one and the Brandon Halsey one, just because, the Brandon Halsey one, I was going in, I felt very confident in that fight, but I knew I was going as such an underdog. And then this one, just because there's not pressure. I've accomplished everything I need to accomplish in my career. And now it's just go out there and just put the icing on the cake,
Yeah, and you mentioned that in terms of everything you've wanted to accomplish, been able to do so. And when it comes to sort of reassessing and reevaluating, making new goals to sort of strive for, what is that sort of like as a fighter to make that transitional period into moving into new goals and having new aims within the sport, whether it's be in or outside of fighting?
You always say I'm taking it one fight at a time, but you're always thinking about where a fight's going to get you and not get you and what's going to happen next. And this is probably the first time in my career that I've been able to just look at it and go, this is just one fight, I don't really have any expectations of what comes next.
Yeah, and then just one of the final few things for myself is, obviously, this fight, I'm sure a lot of fans are going to be watching it, and the landscape of this division as well, with the names that are coming through. In terms of sort of looking at this division and the names in there, how do you sort of feel that the Bellator's middleweight division at the moment compares to other divisions? Obviously, it's a very quick rising division within Bellator, and it's been sort of at the front foot for a long while now.
Yeah, I think I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. I think there's several divisions that it's just really stacked in Bellator. And I think the 85 division is getting there. I mean, you think about it, there was a time in that 185-pound division, there was me and there was Rafael Carvalho, and everybody else was significantly a step. I take it back. I don't want to say step down, but because there was a lot of great guys, but there was a gap there, But now, I mean, everybody in the top 10 is extremely dangerous. And I would even argue that the 145 division in Bellator, top to bottom, is significantly tougher than the UFC 145 division. There's a lot of scary guys in Bellator 145.
Most definitely. And then the final thing for myself is, what is it that the fans can sort of expect to see in this performance and in this next fight?
Well, you got two finishers fighting each other. You know, Jeffrey is going out there for a finish. I'm going out there for a finish. So it should be something fun's going to happen. You know, no matter where the fight goes, we're both looking to get the fight over with quick. So I think that's, you know, just makes it always exciting for everybody.
100%. Well, that is everything from myself. I really appreciate your time. If you'd like to take a chance at any sponsors, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead.
Well, just thank you, you know, to my team at Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu, Port City MMA, and at Jim O. I appreciate everybody, and I think that's it.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. Obviously, not a fight to be missed. Do make sure you tune in for that one. But thank you very much for your time today. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.